So, would you like to just start with introducing yourself and telling us what you're doing for Dorset Mind?
Sure. I'm Jordan. I'll be running the London Marathon at the end of April with the goal of trying to raise at least £1,000 for Dorset Mind. I've been trying to raise money for the last few months. So it's been a lot of fun, a good journey, and yeah, so that's the goal. Training's going well, and yeah, hopefully we can drive some more donations.
Amazing. So, why are you running the London Marathon?
So I think look, running a marathon in general seems a bit crazy for most people. I only actually started properly running about a year and a half ago, and I always thought, I guess a marathon is going to be the eventual goal. And I kind of started running for my mental health. I was in a pretty difficult situation, probably not exactly where I thought I wanted to be in life, but running was kind of like the foundation of just feeling a bit better about myself and just being able to make those daily improvements, on a consistent basis. And I sort of said to myself that if I can continue down this path of running, then a marathon would be amazing. And I think, I signed up for the London Marathon, not really believing that I'd get it like most people. And then, lucky enough I got it. So, that was the primary goal really was, if I can reach the heights of running a marathon after kind of starting from basically ground zero, that would be amazing. And I think from the perspective of raising money as well, Dorset Mind does such an incredible job around mental health. And like I said, the main reason why I run really to this day is to kind of have that shield, that protection for my mental health. So it just seemed natural and only right to try to raise money for Dorset Mind at the same time. A year and a half ago, I remember running 2 kilometers for the first time in a really long time. And, so the idea of now being in a position where, I'm training for a marathon is amazing. And, mentally I'm so much better now than I was, when I first made that run, when I first, took those steps. So it's been an incredible journey and it's amazing what doing something like that can do for you.
Why
Like
did you choose Dorset Mind specifically?
Uh, there were a few specific reasons. I think, like I said, tying the running into the mental health aspect of it was important. Um, I've had my own mental health struggles throughout the years, and I think it's opened my eyes into the understanding of how important mental health is, particularly, among young men. I think, statistics around suicide for young men are really, really quite dire. Yeah, I think from that perspective, if I could try to raise awareness, raise money, and also tie into the fact that running helps me mentally, then hopefully I'd be doing something right.
So, what message would you like to share with others about mental health, do you think?
I think my message from my experience is to never give up. You have to just keep going, and that you have your days which are worse than some days. It's a bit of a wave mental health. Some days it's really, really tough. Other days it's much, much better. But the most important thing that you can do in my perspective, in my experience, is to just make those steps and feel like you're moving. And I think that's why running for me, it was so important to kind of tie that to mental health. Because when you do go on these like runs, these long runs, or you do make that step with exercise, you feel like you're making an improvement. You feel like you're being better, and the uplift in feeling that you get mentally from from creating a feeling that you're progressing, it's massive. So I think with anyone who's struggling with mental health, first message is you're not alone. So many people struggle with their mental health on a day-to-day basis. My second message would be make those steps, make those first steps. And no matter how small, it doesn't matter if you're going from not being able to run at all and you want to run a 10K and you can't, as if you can just get to 500 meters, you've made a step, you've been better than you were the day before. So that would definitely be my message.
So, how are you feeling ahead of race day? Obviously, it's coming up pretty soon now.
Yeah, I've gone in and out of feeling good and feeling bad. I think just similar to what I've just said. But I've kind of kept that feeling that I'm getting better and better, and I feel like I've crossed over a threshold recently where I'm doing these what would I would consider ridiculous long runs. I'm doing them quite comfortably. So that's given me a lot of confidence. And I think my feeling now is very positive, and I'm really just looking forward to it because as we get closer to the date, I'm starting to understand how big of a spectacle the London Marathon is and how amazing of an opportunity it is to run, an event like this, one of the biggest marathons in the world. And I think I signed up for it not really understanding that, which has kind
Mm.
of made it almost worse, but then so much better
Yeah.
at the same time. Because then when I signed up for it, I thought it was just like any other marathon. And then the longer time has gone on, and I've spoken to more and more people, and they've told me, oh, I've tried to sign up every single year for the last like 10 years and I've not got it. And I'm realizing, oh my gosh, I'm so lucky. So I'm really excited. But yeah, I think a bit nervous as well, which is probably just natural.
Yeah. What would crossing the line mean to you?
Oh gosh. Um, I've thought about this quite often, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I just all I can think about when I think about crossing the line is my uncle,
Okay.
Stephen, and just you know the two children that he left behind, the wife that he left behind, and all the people, my grandmother, my mother, who have been affected so deeply by the tragedy. I think crossing the line is it would be just an amazing achievement in hopefully supporting people who are going through similar issues, or who may be at a level where they're deciding, do I make that decision or do I not? Which is a horrible thing to say, but at some point, my
Mm.
uncle was in that position, and I think it's a realistic conversation. So, yeah, I think crossing the line would just mean that I've completed an unbelievable amount of training. I've ran a lot, but also that I feel like I've done incredible deed in the name of my uncle and his family and my family.
How can people get involved to cheer you on or support you?
So I have an enthuse link. So anyone can select the link and donate, and leave a comment. Lots of people have sort of donated and left nice supporting messages, which anything like that is amazing. Other than that, donate to the Dorset Mind, any of the other runners who are supporting Dorset Mind. Um, and then, of course, I think you can actually tune in on BBC to watch representatives cross the line. So any of those, primarily the donations, would be incredible. Message to my supporters. Gosh, probably donate to the Dorset Mind.